All right. Hey, I'm Greg Herlean, and I'm here with my son, Carson, and just happy to be here and talk about a few things that really are, that either weigh on me or that are, questions I might have for Carson. And we started this really just to help others to find where they might be and meet them where they are for whatever reason it might be. It might be just a father-son relationship for some others, or a parent-child relationship, but in particular in business and in money and generational gains and how to create them, what works, what doesn't. So
Yeah.
so that's why we're here today. So
Yeah.
so I'm Greg Herlean. I've been doing real estate for 22 years, and it's been a passion of mine. I never knew how much it could change my life, and it's just something I've always done on a small scale or sometimes a big scale. And then my day to day job is, besides trying to be the best father and partner as possible, is working in my trust company. I'm really passionate about teaching people about retirement accounts, and so that's, if you don't know who I am, that's who I am. And then my son, who's here, a little taller than me, Carson, want to give a little intro on yourself?
Yeah. So I'm 20 years old, been alive shorter than you've been doing real estate. And I've been doing real estate for less than a year at this point. Have a few of my first deals underway. I was just recently married and living in California. And for my day-to-day job as well, I help people learn how to be their own bank through infinite banking. And I also am working with you as well, talking about retirement accounts, talking about all things money, really, and money management. And so, yeah, and that's a pretty good intro. And so, over the past couple weeks, there's been a lot going on in my real estate deals right now. And so I'd like to just briefly talk about that with you, what we've been going on, see if you have any advice for me right now to start it off. That's okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about this last week, but there's a little bit of disorganization within me and my partners and how we're managing our work and our deals. And you've talked about some ways to help us be more organized, help someone or help us by having someone in the lead and kind of managing things. And so we've been talking about it and kind of figure things out, but we're on track. We're doing things a little better now, but I'd like to know more of your thoughts on that and why you think being organized in a beginning of a business is extremely important and how you think we should be leading the company.
So I think all of my answers, my answers will mostly be based upon failures I've made myself. And so I think the goal of a father, but also probably anybody in general, is, a mentor, is my goal is to try to help you have less pitfalls and problems that I made when I was younger.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to see them because I've made them. So I want to first start with that. And I don't want you to be disappointed or discouraged with some of what you've been doing.
Yeah.
You and I've spoken about it, but obviously organization is important. We all know it's important.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue that I've seen, a couple things that you can avoid with disorganization is by having weekly meetings, first of all. And I know you have those, but let's talk about those first. I think there's a lot of partnerships in general that begin, but don't have any regimen, where there's not a specific day and time that they meet. Meetings,
Yeah.
I hate meetings, but I also know that if you keep them precise and simple, they can be 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it keeps everybody accountable.
Yeah.
And so having that makes you have more success. But I think the organization that you asked me about last week is a little bit different, because you're already doing your weekly meetings, which I think are great. And I think they're typically 5 or 10 or sometimes 30 minutes long, but they're quick. The problem is when you come together with like-minded individuals, entrepreneurs, then you and your friends or partners want to go buy a piece of real estate, and you're all excited. You all come together, and you all do different things.
Yeah.
You buy the deal. It's starting to be renovated, but then all of a sudden, there's other deals you're looking at, or someone goes on vacation, or someone's just kind of thinks that the other person's handling it.
Yeah.
You have to have one person in charge. Yeah. And this is what I think you and I spoke about last week is, you can't have two people in charge. You can't have three people. You have to have one person in charge. Yeah. Now you can delegate. but whoever's in charge, even if it's not the majority partner, let's say I'm the majority partner, doesn't mean I'm in charge.
Yeah.
You need to have one person who's in charge that makes the specific deals, because if not, time goes by and you lose money, and time equals money.
And that's something I've really learned. We could have got the couple of these deals done with tenants in them already rented out maybe 2-3 months ago, and we could be making money. But because we've put it off to someone else doing something, or me thinking I'm doing something when he's doing the same thing, it's caused delay and loss of money. So that's a good point.
Yeah, look, that is probably, if you just, the example you just gave, you're in your first year of real estate, you just experienced it, and 2 months of time doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah.
But 2 months is interest on the 2 months, bank interest on those 2 months,
Yeah.
income that could have come in those 2 months. We're talking about
That's a big
few $1,000s.
big spread.
Yeah. And so those little things you can tighten up now. And also what's great about this is, in the beginning, is you're getting to know who does what.
Yeah.
You're going to find out real quick, like, oh, this guy who I thought was handling it didn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that from now on, I'm either going to babysit him or
Yeah.
fire him and have someone else do it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something. So
That's a good point.
yeah. So you've been on that note with real estate. I think what I think has been, and I want to ask Carson about and share, is so many people are just kind of will come up and say, I want to do real estate. I want to get involved in real estate, but where do I begin, or how do I begin? Part of the reason for this is I want to be clear. Carson does not work for me. He's not paid by me. I have not lent him, X amount of dollars for him to go out and buy real estate. He's kind of doing it on his own, like most people have to do. So how has that been? Because like I said, it's not like you work for me, but what are some of the harder things that you've had to deal with, besides maybe this last week that happened? What's been the hardest part as you've begun in your real estate world in this last year?
I think the hardest part with getting into real estate is just not knowing all the variables. I think there are a lot of variables that come into play that I did not realize. And now, kind of getting to the back end of a few of these different things, I've seen the variables and I'm a lot more equipped for the next time because I know all the little things we need to do. Whereas the first time going through my first deal, I was just shooting from the hip, trying to put out fires here and there. Actually, my partner put a really good way to state this yesterday. He was saying, we've been playing defense the whole time. Like, we need to go play offense now. We need to stop just sending emails, hoping they're getting stuff done, but we need to be calling them, making sure they're doing it, following up with them. And once it's done, mark it complete and move to the next task. Be on top of what's going on. And so I'm not totally answering your question, but
You are.
But the hardest part has been not knowing what's all going on, because there's a lot of things that has to happen, but now kind of putting that together and putting down a system and getting a really good system down of what each checkbox needs to be and how we can get each of them done as soon as possible and done correctly.
Do you think you could have done anything differently in this last year than you have currently?
I don't think I could have done anything differently.
Yeah.
I couldn't have changed anything. I really just am learning a ton. The past year, I've probably learned more about anything to do with money than I ever have in my life, and so much growth because I'm actually doing it.
So you also are, doing infinite banking. You take how many hours a day in calls and work in that? How many hours?
I probably talk to 50 to 80 people a week about infinite banking.
About how many hours is that?
I'd say 30 minutes to an hour per phone call.
So 30 to 50 hours.
30, 50 hours probably.
A week. And you're doing real estate.
Mm-hmm. So
what I love about what he said is a lot of people, and this content is really for all walks of life.
Yeah,
definitely generational gains as we talk about like how to pass it forward, and because you want your kids to be better and more successful than you. But what I'm hearing is he's jumping in with both feet, and it's not like he's learning on the go. And I know that's when I started my business. You have to figure it out. All of a sudden, you borrowed some money, you bought a house, and and you got a manager that you think's managing it, who's maybe not sending you the checks.
Yeah.
And you just have to figure it out. And if people went along their real estate career or journey, just after they figured everything out, they would never get it done. You wouldn't be doing it probably for 5 more years.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I'm seeing in you, that I've recalled in my own self, years ago, that you just have to figure out. So is real estate something that you think is this like a short term, long term? Like what's real estate to you? Is that something you want to do forever, or you think, or why do you want to do real estate? I'm just curious.
Grant Cardone, he says every dollar he has, he puts in cash flowing assets. And that is his way of building wealth. Everyone does it differently, but I've loved that idea and I've thought about it. And what is the best cash flowing asset? Few different things, but I think real estate is one of the big ones. I think my whole life I'm going to be in real estate, and I'm always going to have money coming in on the side as cash flow because I own real estate. So I always want to do it for that reason. And yeah, it's hard to get things set up and going, but once you get it figured out, the sky's the limit. And I think one of my goals is, in a 10-year span, having $100 million worth of real estate, all cash flowing. I think that's a big goal.
$100 million. So that would put him at 30 years old. He'd be crushing his father. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Because,
although $100 million is kind of like $10 million today. So no, I'm joking.
Yeah.
So, how many properties? It's been a year. It's been less than a year.
Yeah.
6-7 months, right?
Yeah.
And so how many properties do you own? How many do you have under contract? Just curious where you're at right now.
Well, I think we expected to just start going at it, getting 1 or 2 a month. And after we've had some of these fires to put out with our first 3 properties that are all owned, contractors are in there renovating it, some are ready to be tenanted, we've kind of put a pause on everything. And we're just like, all right, no more buying assets. Let's figure out how the system works for us, how we work together, organize it, put a system together, and then scale. So we're at 3 right now. And I hope in the next 6 months we get another 1 or 2. And then after that, I think I want to start getting 5 a month. Really going for it.
So you said you had to put some fires out. You talked a little bit about, organization, but tell me like 1 or 2 fires that you've had to put out in your first 6 months of real estate.
Well, so literally last weekend, we got mixed up between 2 of the properties. We thought one was done, ready to go, but it was really the other one. So we told the property manager, hey, get your team out there, go get pictures of the place, start looking at market rents. They get there, front door is wide open, and people are inside. And they're like, wait, why is someone here? I think we have squatters there. They left, and they're freaking out, like, someone's in your house, we got to evict them. And so my partners and I were just freaking out, like, who do we get over there? How do we get this fixed? And so we ended up having the property manager, the contractor, contact, go over there again. We found out that our contractors, who were supposed to be there a few days later, came early. And they were working on the house, which is awesome. So they just didn't tell anyone because of the miscommunication between all of us. So it ended up being a good thing, but it was really scary for about a day because no one had any idea what was happening. We all were confused. And we didn't know who had keys to get inside, who would be there, if there were squatters, how to get them out. And so it ended up being fine, but it came to a point where we're like, all right, this should not happen again. We need to figure out what's going on with each place, who has what contacts, where keys are where, and how we can get things moving forward in a correct pattern. And so now that property is about to be done, just had some quick repairs. The lady's going to go back again next week and get it ready to go. But it was a crazy weekend because of that. And I was at the gym with Anna, working out, getting all these emails and texts and calls. And I'm like, music blasting in my ear, trying to I think I was squatting and trying to get my texts back in. It was a chaotic morning. But anyway, long story short.
I like it. Okay. Well, that's definitely a hurdle. All right.
Sorry. That was a long story, but
no, that's good.
We're talking a lot about my first couple deals. I want to hear more from your experience. What was your first deal or 2 like, and what you learned from it and kind of how those went? Just a brief overview.
Yeah. So, one of my first, so when I started doing real estate, I was, um, similar to you, just trying to figure it out. And I kind of learned the hard way that there was lots of deals out there, but I couldn't find money. And so my whole focus was trying to figure out how to find money to do a deal.
Yeah.
But I quickly learned once I found some money, which took me a long time to find my first $60,000 for a deal for someone to lend me. I quickly ran into the same kind of things that you ran into. I hired a contractor who had someone else had used before, and it was supposed to be like a $3,000 or $4,000 fix, and it was like a $6,000 or $7,000 fix. And so when you're doing a small deal and it goes from a $3,000 or $4,000 fix to a $8,000 fix, it's stressful, and especially when you don't necessarily have the money. And so for me, I went through the same kind of learning. I bought a condo. The contractor wasn't great. It took a little bit longer.
Was
than
it
I wanted.
Vegas?
It was in Vegas. Yeah, it was here in Vegas. And then I just, I had to beg, borrow, and plead to find the extra $7,000 to finish the project.
Yeah.
So that was probably like the first, my first deal. But then I remember buying a house that, typically in the beginning, especially, you're looking for, just dirty stuff that no one else wants to touch, but be able to see and envision what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was looking for. And so I was looking for the dirty stuff. I remember I bought a house where a person died in their bed in a fire. Bought that in Utah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the idea of it was kind of scary, but I was like, no one wanted to touch this, right? Because someone had passed away, died in a fire in the house. Actually, it gets worse than that. Someone put gasoline so this has really happened, in the house and blew it up more or less.
Whoa.
And
how'd you find this deal?
I found it because an attorney told me about it, because obviously it was through an attorney process. There was litigation, insurance stuff going on, as you can imagine. And so the attorney contacted me, and me and my partner actually, and we were, I was afraid of it, but the price was right. So I couldn't afford it. I'm gonna say I couldn't afford a home in that neighborhood if it was like a normal fix and flip.
Yeah.
And so, but I got to tell you, like, one of the best things about that happened there, and also a couple other homes in that neighborhood, that we did, was what we did for the neighborhood. I didn't ever think about that early on. A lot of times I was doing deals, and in my young 20s, it was about the dollar. It was about like, how quick can I flip it to make X amount? A little bit, like 5 or 6 years into my career, flipping homes, I actually started understanding about the importance of the neighborhood and what we were doing for the neighborhood. We were taking a home that could be vacant, could have had issues in it, whatever, had a story before me. And I mean, I don't know if you've walked through neighborhoods where all of a sudden you're in the back, you're walking through the street, and every house is kind of nice, but there's just one or two houses that the weeds are overgrown. Yeah. Maybe there's people living in there that were doing drugs all the time. Yeah. We had the opportunity to go in there and change neighborhoods and change lives. And that was very impactful for me. Being part of something like that, where I felt like I was doing more and making a profit, obviously. Yeah. So anyways, those are I'd say a couple, that was like, I'm giving you drastic ones. The first one wasn't so drastic, being off $3 or $4 grand. The second one was definitely drastic. But we had a handful of those really difficult ones. Yeah.
What age were you when you got your first deal?
22 years old.
Did you feel like you were old enough?
No. I felt like I was in a grown man's game as a little boy. And the reason why I felt that way is because I didn't have any money or experience. And I was like, who's going to trust me? Who's going to take me serious? And so I actually walked into places with not the right confidence. Knowing what I know now, it's obviously different. Like confidence and going in with confidence is a big deal. And I wasn't doing that. Yeah. And so that's what I'd say
to note of.
I say that to anybody though. There's the people
Yeah.
that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s getting in real estate and they've never done a deal
Yeah.
and they don't walk in with confidence. You've got to be confident in yourself and your ability to have success. Why would someone else give you their money to do a deal if you're not confident?
Yeah.
So I figured that out kind of quick because it was hard in the beginning. I was just like, why would someone lend me money? I'm going to figure it out. And many people didn't lend me money for a little bit. It was really hard.
Yeah.
So
And that's a good story.
yeah.
So do you think those couple of deals, did they give you momentum into building more, or did it kind of deter you from wanting to do it because of all the heartache and the learning?
No, all of my deals gave me momentum. I would say the things that were heartache and difficult were more of my partnerships
Hmm.
because a mistake that I made early on is I thought if I worked with people that were like me, that thought like me, we would build, grow massive millions of dollars. What I learned really quick and the hard way is when I partnered with people that were just like me, we butt heads. And so the sooner I was able to find people that brought different talents than me, that were better than me at other areas, then I found success. But if you got two sales guys growing a business
Yeah.
and you don't have like a nuts and bolts guy or someone who's good at finding the deals guy, you need to have a team. And I learned that the hard way. And so that's probably the hardest part of my 10 years, first 10 years was failures and partnerships because we didn't see eye to eye or we just brought the same thing.
Yeah.
If we both bought money all the time, but no one's finding deals, that doesn't work, or vice versa. And so it took me a while to find the right contractors, the right teams, the right partners.
So how do people put themselves in a position to network around and get the right partners?
Man, that is the golden question. So
Would you say that that's what sets up a business for success? Right partnership?
I think a great team, which is can be a partnership, is definitely the recipe for success. That team doesn't have to be partners. That could be staff.
Yeah.
That could be executives. That could be whoever. But I think your team is the most important thing you'll do. I mean, think about it with you and Anna. I mean, you and your wife. If you are in line with your wife, everything else in your life is not going to go as well. You won't work out as well because you'll be distracted. You won't make as much money because you'll be distracted. If you have a team and you work as a team, and that's also why I say in our family, like if we work together in a team environment, we enjoy the same things together. We respect each other, and we support each other as a team. Everything else is okay. And I feel the same way in a partnership is. And so how do you go find it? You asked me. A little bit of trial and error, a little bit of seeing what other people are doing, a little bit of being like, oh, that guy looks like he's a badass. He lives next to me. I want to learn more about what he does or what she does.
Yeah.
And it's trial by error, doing deals with other people. And then all of a sudden, I mean, you've seen it with some of my other friends, with Kent or Justin or Steve, or I mean, I've got a laundry list of great partnerships, but it took me like 10 or 15 years to find them. It's just been the last 5 to 10 years where I've truly gotten great partners and partnerships that I trust, that aren't in it just for themselves, and that bring something different than I bring. Justin's a good example. I know you work with Justin. Justin's really good at finding deals, and so having someone like him is great. Kent, you met Kent. Kent is great at business growth and scaling. So there's a time and place for different partners.
Yeah, I like that.
So what makes you want to be an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. A few different answers. I want to have control over my life, not in like a control freak kind of way, but just I want to be under control of what I'm doing with my life. I want to know my goals. I want to have plans set in stone to accomplish those goals, and I want to know how I'm going to do it. And working for someone else is it makes it harder to do those things. It makes it harder for you to live for yourself. So I think a part of me wants to build something on my own where I can, just grow it by myself. I can experience all the different, growth pains and hardships from building something by myself, but I want to be on my own and try to really just do something by myself. I don't know an exact answer. I think I have to think about that more. But
Is it scary? Is it scary?
hmm,
I mean, you don't have a paycheck. You don't have a W-2 paycheck.
I don't.
Does that scare you?
No,
And
I think a little bit in the beginning, but not having a W-2 paycheck does not scare me. I trust in my abilities and my opportunities around me to make money. And I know I'm going to make money and live my life fine, but it doesn't scare me, no.
So what about this? So recently Carson decided in the last year, I think in the last year, you were going to live in Las Vegas. That was your decision. You'd thought about it for years, actually. I think you're planning on it for a couple of years. And then last minute, I would say last minute, or at least in the last, a year ago or so, you decide you're going to start your life and your family in San Clemente. And just to give you an idea, the medium home price from Las Vegas, which is like 330,000, to Orange County, Dana Point, San Clemente, which is like $780,000. So more than double the price. So, what would you say to? I mean, there's people that say to me, I would do my business, but I there's no way I'd start in California where the taxes are high and the real estate's so high. You decided to start there. Why?
I love being in California. I think I'm the happiest there. So is Anna. It is just a happy place to be. With that being said, I think a lot of people doubt or are scared of California. And now living here, I don't totally get it. I think if you live there, you understand why you live there and why you pay for it. But it didn't scare me because I did the math. If I lived in Vegas, my budget was X amount of dollars. Or if I lived in California, it was X amount of dollars. But it was maybe $1,000 to $1,500 more a month to live in California. And you get paid more in California. Anna does hair, so she's going to get 20-30% increase in her money she earns by living in California. I can be around successful people, be around entrepreneurs, around other like-minded people where I can build up more business and have more opportunity. So it outweighs the extra $1,000 a month to live in California, first of all. But I mean, I think a lot of it came down to where we were happiest.
I don't. Look, that's great. I love hearing his answers because it's 10 years from now, I like to hear his answer again and ask the same question, which I think will, by the way, be the same or very similar to what you said.
Yeah.
Where I was going with that question, not only was your answer on point, but I'd like to add to that people are having success in real estate in every city in the world. And so wherever you want to live and grow and build a family and be happy, you can have success. Sure, there's different variables. There's different variables everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I know he's buying homes not in California right now. I mean, he's going to, but somewhere else where it's a little bit easier to get into an entry. And so you can do that too. And so I think that was one of the big things that I've learned is a lot of people will be like, hey, I just heard you speak and I want to talk about like, where should I start my real estate business?
Yeah.
And the answer is you can start it wherever you're at. And I do think we talked about this a second ago, but where you are the happiest and can be the most productive is where you'll have the most success.
Yeah.
So
And I think you see that in California. When I'm in Vegas visiting Anna's family or when I'm in California,
there's a difference.
There is a huge difference of the way people act, the way they look, the way they talk,
The way they smile.
the way they smile. Everything is different about the people in general because everything kind of goes together. Your faith is a part of it. We talked about this the other day. Having a family, having success, all these different things are related to each other. And in California, people are relatively wealthier. They all are active outdoors people. They all are happy people with big families. And in Vegas and other places, it's just not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been a big thing to recognize too. That was something that pulled us to California more too. Is just people are more happy and successful when they have all their different pieces of their life put together.
Well, let's wrap up here. A couple little things I was going to ask you. I didn't get through half my questions, which is fine. But So what's a piece of advice you'd give to a young entrepreneur like yourself, if someone is 20 years old, just like you, considering getting into real estate? What's a piece of advice you'd give a young entrepreneur today?
Yeah. There's no reason to be fearful when starting in real estate. There are things you need to learn and get over, but you can do it. And not just in real estate, but in any business you want to start, there are people around you who will help you, and you can do it. And I'm a testament of that. And I'm still learning. I'm learning every week more and more. But just by actively doing it and taking action, you'll make something happen. And I'll direct that question back to you too. What would you give advice to someone in their 20s in the business world starting something?
A lot of what you just said. He's pretty wise for his young years. I would say work harder than everybody else. It's a fallacy to think that you can just wake up, go to the gym, have your coffee, walk your dog, get to work at 10 or 11 o'clock, be done at 2 or 3 o'clock, and be a millionaire and successful in real estate. I think you can get there. I think if you want that in your life, you can get there. But I think nothing beats hard work. And I feel like a young entrepreneur needs to know that. Outwork your competitors and those around you.
And it's getting easier. America is becoming less hardworking.
Yeah.
It's going to be easier to stand out and be able to do it.
To outperform your competitors.
Yeah. So if you work harder than everyone else, that bar is set lower than it ever has been.
Yeah. So it's great. So we like to end everything out with a sweet, sour, and service and grateful. So we'll finish up today with that. You want to go? Do you want me to go?
No, I can do it. I'm thinking sweet is definitely actually. So we're big Golden Knights hockey fans. We weren't about 5 years ago when they came to Vegas. We've been all over Golden Knights. Game 1 of the playoffs is tonight, and we're going to go to it. So that's going to be a sweet for me.
For sure.
Sour is Vegas is dry. I hate being here. I am dry. I don't feel good. I'm not comfortable. It's hot. I'm ready to go back to California.
Okay.
Just for today. And service. Oh, today. It's in the morning. I don't know if I've served anyone yet today. I'll have to work on it today.
All right. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for this opportunity. You've taught me so much, and I look up to you in everything you do, and it has helped me set goals, helped me learn how to accomplish things, and I love always being able to just give you a quick call and ask questions about whatever's happening. So I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Carson. My sweet. I was actually going to say the Knights game, so I won't. I'm actually looking forward to that as well. I would say my sweet is right now. I actually love being in Las Vegas, just for a little bit, being with my team, but also being with Carson. I can't wait to look back on these even in 5 or 10 years from now.
They're going to be funny to look at.
You can watch your kid, your kid will see you and grandpa doing this. So pretty cool. Sweet there. Sour is, sour. I don't think I have a sour today. I don't have a sour today. That's the only thing you're allowed to skip on, I think. And then service. This morning I got up early and I moved all of Jessica's baby shower gifts into her car because she's driving back to California today.
A lot of gifts too.
A lot of gifts. So that was that. And then grateful. I am extremely grateful for my good health. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. And preparing for Jessica to have a baby. Super happy about that. Grateful for that. So yeah, thanks for spending time with us. Yeah. And I get to hear from my son and learn a lot from him as well, but I hope you do as well. And you can apply this to you or your relationship or your business. So yeah.
We appreciate you guys listening.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.